What's up guys, welcome back to my latest Let's Play series. Today we're going to be going back into the world of Wolverine Studios Pro Basketball 17, and we've taken on the challenge of trying to rebuild the LA Lakers, or the LA Waves as they're known in this game, and bringing back that championship status to the team, seeing whether we can do a better job than Magic Johnson himself. For those of you who didn't check out the first series, definitely go back and take a look. We talked a little bit about the game itself, and about the roster and the plans for the team over the next sort of season or couple of seasons, and who we're looking to sort of move and who we're looking to develop and keep. But today we're going to just be diving straight into the opening game of the season, seeing whether we can get our first win on the board straight away and whether we can beat the Portland Pioneers. So for those of you who are not familiar with Wolverine Studios games, you generally play games in two versions, either in Gamecast mode or in 2D. You can also simulate games through, and what we'll do with this series is we'll probably simulate through a month or so at a time before I sort of come on and talk about it. And any sort of key games or key matchups, we'll go in and we'll actually take a look at the game itself and see how we get on. So today we're just going to we're not going to actually control the team itself and set the rotation around. It would take me far too much time, and I'd have to focus on that rather than talking. So we're going to go purely in commentary mode, as if we're up in the stands, letting Mr. Walton himself manage the team. So we're going to change that over to CPU, and we're going to go in at 2D today. So I expect this to be quite a tough game for us. For those of you familiar with the real life NBA Portland team, they've got quite a good roster. Obviously Lilliard's the key guy with McCollum at the back in the guard positions, but you know, they're generally typically a playoff or borderline playoff franchise. So this will be a good test for us to see whether the likes of Russell, Ingram and Randall have what it takes to be successful in this playthrough and in this league. So we'll see how we get on. So for those of you who've played similar games like Out of the Park Baseball or Football Manager, sort of being the two big ones, Draft Day Sports and Wolverine Studios do operate this 2D engine as well. You see in the main bit of the screen we'll have a sort of TD playthrough, and then sort of down the bottom here we'll have a little bit more information on sort of the play-by-play, giving us the detail of what is actually happening. Either side of that, we do have the team-specific statistics, as well as who's on the floor, some of their details in terms of their stats, and who we got on the bench. So today we're going to probably just show the halftime report. We're not going to pause at any stops or enable any game sounds, because the game sounds are generally quite loud and you probably won't be able to hear me. We're gonna increase the game speed right the way up, probably until half time, and then we'll just summarise, and then we'll probably go straight through, and then in the fourth quarter we might slow it down depending on whether we're close or not, and see if we can do a bit of commentary. No promises there. We'll see how that goes. So let's without further ado, let's get started and see how we get on. So as you see, as it sort of plays through, you can slow this right the way down and actually you know, watch play by play and almost watch it in terms of the full sort of time it would take to watch a full NBA game, which is great if you really want to get immersed with the game itself and actually be, you know, fully there, feel like you're in the stands. It looks like we've sort of a bit neck and neck at the moment to begin with in this game. Looks like they're sort of trying to take that lead, and we're sort of sitting a little bit behind them at the moment. So hopefully we can progress on there. You can see obviously here you have things like on the right hand side here under the player stats is you have energy. So as you've probably seen in the depth chart in the first episode, you can set what sort of energy levels you want players to get to before they get substituted, as well as setting things like sub matrix so they come out at certain points in the game. You can see here Russell's here was very low, so obviously we set him I think about 75, so he probably came out because of that. So back to sort of the score, it looks like we're sort of again still neck and neck at the moment in the second quarter. Looks like Portland are still sort of hanging on to that lead. Whether we can get that back, it looks like they're shooting very well at the moment. We're sort of not as doing as well. But yeah, I mean, in terms of other statistics on it, you can see like rebounds, blocks, turnovers, points. See what their shooting's like. Looks like Russell's shooting's been atrocious so far. 1 of 8. That's not good. And Deng as well. 1 of 6. That's not great. So we might want to have a look at that, see how they go over the next couple of games, see whether we might want to adjust some of their shooting profiles to try and improve that really. So it looks like coming sort of towards the end of the second quarter here, looks like Portland's just snatched it back off of us. And whether we can hang on, no, it looks like we're down by a point at the half. It's not too bad. I'm not too disappointed by that. Portland obviously had a terrible second quarter there, only 17 points to our 21. And there's been a bit of back and forth in terms of lead changes and ties. If we take a look at the team stats so far, it looks like we're not shooting particularly great at the moment. Just under sort of 39% or so. Portland obviously shooting very well, obviously. Looks like they're taking full advantage of us at the moment in terms of their shooting. Looks like in terms of 3-pointers, we've not been doing too great. They haven't taken too many, Portland. We're not allowing too many fast breaks, which is good. And we're sort of out rebounding them, but just that shooting is just really letting us down at the moment. We've had a lot more shots than them, and just looks like we haven't made the chances go in. If we take a look at the player stats, I did touch on that just a minute ago, but it looks like Russell, look at that, 2 of 9. That's atrocious. He's got 5 assists and 2 turnovers, which isn't particularly great either. We might have to think about that shooting. It might just be that he's just up against Lillard and just having a tough game in general. We'll let him off for this one. We'll be kind to him. Looks like in terms of our sort of standout player at the moment, it looks, just looking across the board, looks like Randall's not doing too bad, but again he's not shooting too well for a forward position. He's grabbing some rebounds for us, but not particularly great. Be interesting to see whether we can kick on and sort of just whether it was just a poor half in terms of shooting, or whether it's something a little bit more in depth we might have to have a look at there. In terms of top players at the half, it looks like no one's really standing out at the moment. Clarkson possibly for us in terms of rebounds and steals, but it looks like it's a bit neck and neck at the moment. Whether someone can take the mantle and really bring the game home for their team, we'll see. But let's dive straight back into the second half and see how we get on. We'll see if it's close, and we'll try and slow the game down in the fourth quarter and see whether we can do a little bit of commentary on it. So it looks like it's still neck and neck. Portland sort of taking that sort of odd 3-point lead or so, but whether we can peg it back in our home court, we're hanging in there, which I'm pleased about, considering we haven't really done any major roster moves or anything at the moment. Looks like they're just hanging in there, aren't they, at the moment? Just need to hopefully see whether we can get that back. Looks like McCollum's sort of having quite a good game so far, 12 points or so. Shooting pretty well as well. Grabbed 7 rebounds as well. He's on for a double-double at the moment. Oh look, we've pulled the lead back. Oh no, say that and not for too much longer. It's all tied at the moment going into the third. 3 points or so. Whether we can just pull it in. It's 5 points now. We're in the fourth quarter now. See if we can slow it down a little bit, so you can see a little bit more of the play-by-play. See, what's great is it gives you text commentary, so that's something that you're very familiar with. A lot of the general manager games that you'll see out there, coaching games, it does give you a little bit of a play-by-play. Looks like we're down by 5 at the moment. Whether we can pull that back. Looks like we've got Calder on in at point guard. Lou Williams has sort of not had too many shots, actually, interestingly, this game. Whether it's down to his minutes or who he's with, he's not being given the opportunity to take advantage of that shooting ability that he has. Looks like we're down by 7 now going into this. We'll speed it up just a little bit. See whether we can pull this back in and try and get that first win on the board straight away. It looks like Thomas Robinson's playing a few minutes as well. 0 of 2, not great. Julius Randle 4 of 11, not great. Been a pretty poor shooting game for us, to be honest. I mean, Portland, look at that, shot 52%. We've only shot 40. That's not great. Now 7 points as well. Myers Leonard looks like he's had his way on the balls, grabbing 10 rebounds there, shooting 3 of 6, 50%. That's pretty good for your centre position or your forward position. Looking at us, looks like Larry Nance Jr. shot pretty well for us, and he's at 14 points. He looks like he's sort of making a statement for a few more minutes there with that initial game. It looks like the lead is stretched out now to 16 or so points. We're not going to bring this one back. We'll just speed through this one. That's a shame, but Portland are one of the playoff sort of contenders this year. So we weren't expecting a great deal. Whether we can have a rethink about in terms of our strategy or in terms of our personnel out there going forward, we'll see how it plays out. But some positives to take in terms of, I think Larry Nance Jr. looks like he's had a good game. Just the shooting just hasn't been great. Russell's pulled some of his shooting back, which is just good to see. But in the end, looks like an 11-point loss. So yeah, I mean, what can I say about that? Look at that shooting. That's terrible. Maybe we need to rejig our lineup a little bit, rethink our strategy, see whether we can be a bit more consistent. Look at that, we only shot 18 points in the fourth quarter as well. As I said, the shooting wasn't great. Looks like we got quite a few steals. In terms of assists, we were fairly equal. We didn't turn over the ball a lot, which was just encouraging. That's obviously Russell's sort of strong point, really. He is a first point guard, so we expect him to sort of handle the ball well for us. Player of the game, CJ McCullough. Look at that, 4 assists, 7 rebounds and 17 points. Fairly good night for him and a good night for Portland. Not a great night for us though, so probably back to the drawing board a little bit for the next game. But let's have a look. So in terms of our opening night, didn't shoot too well. Only 83 points is not great. But there's room to progress, and we always said this was going to be a challenging Nets play in terms of trying to bring the Lakers back to the top. We've got some young personnel, and we'll see how we get on. So it looks like we've got straight away we're into a next day game against the Anchors. Who are they? Oh, LA Clippers. Okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting name for them. I guess Clippers Anchors makes sense a little bit. So whether we can pull that back. But let's take a little look at the rotation. We'll go back into our team here. What's interesting is in this game is you can click on sort of other team logos and see their roster as well, which is great because you can sort of delve in and take a look at their statistics as well, so you can see whether there's anyone you might want to potentially try and make a trade for. And we will take a look at some trades probably after we've played a month or so. See how we get on. But I really want to see how this team sort of plays out first to begin with. Let's take a look at the depth chart. So Larry Nance Jr. did have a really good game last against Portland. So maybe we might want to see if we can give him some more minutes. But let's have a look at the sub matrix. Let's have a look. So he's only playing 20 minutes at the moment. So whether we want to give him a few more minutes in at centre, perhaps rather than Thomas, possibly might want to have a look at that one. Whether we do that, we'll take a look. Who else do we have? Said Lou Williams didn't particularly do a great deal. Well, he only played 10 minutes. I'll let him off. He only played 10 minutes. We might want to give him some more minutes actually as well. Let's have a think about this. So, let's have a think. So, I think we give Nance Jr. a little few more minutes. So I'll just quickly readjust this. I may have just moved Robinson over there. We'll give Nance Jr. some more minutes. We'll take Robinson out of the rotation, I think. We'll let Randall play some minutes as well there. We'll probably want to give Williams some more minutes. I mean, Clarkson didn't have a bad game, but I think we might want to get more of an impact from the bench. That might be where we go with this. So let's bring Williams in as well in that first quarter. So we can flick through the quarters and see how it sort of lines up. So let's see if we can just sort out Nance Juniors first. So it looks like we'll put him in there straight away. Let's put Mozgov back in there. We'll put Nance Junior in at the 4. I might try and limit some of Deng's minutes as well. It looks like Williams is playing quite a few minutes in this quarter. We might want to put him in a little bit more as we go through. Perhaps we want to put Ingram in a little bit more as well. He looked like he was. He did okay. Deng was just shot awful. So let's be reflective on player performance. Let's if you shoot well, you play well, you get more minutes. If you don't, you don't. So we'll take him out and we'll put Ingram in a little bit more. We'll take Robinson out. We'll put in Nance Jr. He might be a bit undersized for a centre, but let's just go with it. We've got to have a little bit of a tweak or so and see how we get on. Nance Jr., where are you? You can go in there as well. So yeah, look, we're going to give him 24 minutes now. Let's have a look at Williams. So I only got 14 minutes. Might want to try and bring him in a little bit more in the 3rd. See whether we can make a bit more of an impact. Let's say end of the 3rd. Yeah, in there. Let's have a look at that. What about Clarkson now? How does he look? 28 minutes. Yeah, that's not too bad. Deng hopefully should be playing less minutes. Yeah, 16. Robinson might have to play a few more minutes, unfortunately. Randall's just playing everything at the moment. Full 40 minutes. Yeah, let's just go with that. We'll need him to develop anyway. All right, let's go straight into our next game and see how we get on against the Clippers. I'm not expecting a great deal here. I haven't changed any of the strategies at the moment. I think we'll leave those as is. See just whether we can move the personnel around just to see whether we can get an improvement. So yeah, let's go back in. We'll go into the 2D again as well, and we'll let Walton obviously take the lead, and let's see how we get on. So as you guys may be aware, the anchors, as they're called in this game, have a very strong rotation. The likes of DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, Crawford, and Paul. Austin Rivers is an interesting one. We might be able to take some advantage there with Clarkson and Williams. Hopefully, if they can get a few results against him, we might cause them some damage. But this is going to be a tough game, guys. This is going to be a difficult one for us. So yeah, let's kick on and see how we go. As I said, I'll sort of quickly zoom through the game itself, see whether we can keep it tight until the 4th. And if we do, we'll slow it down a little bit. But yeah, not too bad start. We've taken the lead. Oh no, I should just stop talking. Every time I talk, we seem to just be letting points go. But no, I mean, it's interesting. It looks like Russell's has started off very well. Look at that, 4 or 5. Much better shooting performance from him, which is interesting. May just indicate it was, Lillard may have been a bit of a difficult customer for him. Perhaps Chris Paul not as much, or he might be having an off night. So yeah, it looks like we've got Lou Williams straight back into the rotation here. See whether giving him a few more minutes might help us as we go. We've started off with quite a nice early lead here, which is promising. Up by 3 at the moment, and up by 1 now typically. But yeah, I mean, like I said, guys, this is going to be a tough game for us. I mean, they've got obviously Chris Paul. We all know how good he is. Blake Griffin's obviously a fantastic power forward. Hopefully, we can just stay a little bit competitive in this one rather than sort of stretching out to like a 20-point loss. But we'll see how we get on. Looks like they've taken the lead slightly by 6 points or so, 9 points now. But we're staying in there, 10 points now. But hopefully we can tie in that. It looks like we're shooting a lot better, but obviously they're shooting very well at the moment. Perhaps we might need to look at our defensive strategy. Perhaps we're not forcing them into enough bad shots. So maybe we might have a little look at that going into the next month or so as we look through this. Looks like in terms of steals and turnovers and blocks, we're doing pretty much matching them. Yeah, I mean, we're down by 7 at the half. It's not disastrous. It's a similar position where we were with Portland. I'd say we were tight in that game. The Clippers just had a great second quarter there. Look at that, 30 points, which is obviously a bit of a down for us. We're shooting a lot better, which is promising. Obviously not grabbing as many rebounds, and obviously that's understandable with the likes of Griffin and DeAndre Jordan in the paint for them. That would be a real tough matchup for us. It looks like in terms of points in the paint again that they're maybe dominating us a little bit inside, but we're keeping in there. We're taking advantage of our 3 points that we've got in terms of our shooting, and we're shooting very well. In terms of our top players this half, yeah, Russell's had a great start, 16 points, 3 assists. That's fantastic. And Griffin looks like he's doing the usual thing that he does and grabbing points, rebounds, and assists. Let's take a quick look at the actual player profile. So Ingram's not had a great game so far, only 1 of 3. So yeah, a bit of a mixed bag, but as a rookie, we kind of expect that. Randall's again not shooting too well. Perhaps that's something we might want to have a little look at. But again, he's up against Griffin, so that could explain it. Nance Jr.'s having a solid shooting game. Looks like he's grabbed a couple of rebounds as well, which is promising. In terms of other players, Deng's, in his small amount of minutes, he's done okay. He's only had 1 shot, which is good. Try and limit his shots as much as possible. But let's go straight into the second half and see how we get on. Can we pull it back? 7 points down. Straight back in, so that's what I think. So looks like Russell's having a good game, but it's just whether we can sort of keep it in there. We're down by 10, 13 points now. Yeah, but I mean we're not shooting too well this start of this second half. Looks like they're sort of taking over a bit now. Whether we can put it back, who knows? But looks like in terms of them, Blake Griffin's having a fantastic game. Look at that. He's got 16 points. 6 rebounds as well now, and he's shooting fairly well. So it looks like he's taking full advantage of being up against Randall, who has had a pretty terrible shooting night, 2 of 13 there. He's the rebound front. He's competed with him, but it looks like he has struggled quite badly, and probably indicates why Robinson has come in. So it looks like going down into the third quarter, we're down by over nearly 20 points now, which is not great. Yeah, this just shows exactly how far we've got to come. The Clippers are obviously one of the elite teams in the Western Conference, or the anchors, I should say, one of the elite teams in the conference. So we've got a long way to go. Great to see that Russell's had a good night though. He's not had too many assists, but in terms of scoring, he's taken the mantle. He's really had a go at it tonight. But yeah, it looks like we've pulled it back to 12 points now, but I'm not going to slow this down. It looks like we're not going to. Say that it looks like we're not going to put it back. It looks like we are slightly. 8 points or so. 6 points now. Look at that. It's just over. 9 points. No, probably not. No. Well, we won't slow it down. I'm going to gamble and accept the fact that we've probably lost this game, but a much more promising. We've shot a little bit better. It's still not great, but we've been excellent from 3-point range this game. And they must have put a lot of zone defense on us. I didn't have a chance to really flick through that and have a look, but looks like some promising things. Like I said, Russell had a really good game for us. Obviously, the Clippers just had 2 great quarters there. Second and third quarter just blew us away. That was mainly the difference. They obviously out-rebounded us. We kind of would have expected that. We were obviously really good beyond the arc today, and they just killed us inside. I mean, bear in mind we did get 30 points, but I would not be acceptable if we were in championship contender and we were giving away 34 points in the paint throughout the night. I think we had a bit of foul trouble, but we'll take a look at that now. So we had a couple of players on 4 fouls or so probably limited some of their minutes. It looks like Russell had a good night, but he obviously shot quite a lot, and towards the end I guess he was probably chucking it up a bit, just trying to get us back in it. Looks like Randall didn't have a great shooting game again, which is worrying, but we'll see how that develops over a month or so. We won't jump to too many conclusions. Lou Williams had a few more minutes. Didn't shoot too well, but that's fine. He's expected to come in and make an impact. But Larry Nance Jr.'s had a good game. 4 or 5 there. Look, 5 rebounds. Pretty solid from him. Laldan again, slating him the first game. Looks like he's done okay there. He's pulled it back a little bit for us. Ingram again didn't shoot too well, but as being a rookie, I expect him to hopefully develop and improve as we go through the season. And Jordan Clarkson had an okay game, but yeah, I mean, in terms of, I think the problem is that we're just allowing teams to just do what they want in terms of shooting against us. Maybe we want to have a look at the defensive strategy. In terms of the player of the game, yeah, that was a no-brainer. Blake Griffin obviously had a fantastic night. 18 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists and 3 blocks. Did a little bit of everything really. Not if he'd got a steal in there, that would have been quite an interesting one. But yeah, just that's a good test for us to see exactly how far we've got to go. So it looks like we haven't got a game next. So we had 2 back-to-back games to open up the season. We've opened up with 2 losses. Yeah, going to be a tough season for us this year. We may have to look at making some moves as we go through the season. But if we just take a quick scan across the conference itself, so just a couple of opening games there. Looks like San Antonio have kicked off well. Houston looks like they've lost an opening game. Golden State obviously have kicked off with a win. Fully expect them to be right the way up there throughout the season. We have a look over the Eastern Conference. Looks like, yeah, the usuals. Cleveland have won their opening game. Looks like, yeah, New York have won their opening game. Toronto have started well. But yeah, I mean, what I'll do before we come back to the next episode is I'll play for a month. I'll have a think about the strategy. I think that might be something we want to have a look at, possibly in terms of not the offensive strategy, but possibly in terms of our defensive strategy. So currently, we're obviously playing quite aggressive defense. Perhaps we might want to ramp that up a little bit more. Possibly look at playing a little bit less full court and a little bit more just sitting in half court, playing a little bit more aggressive in the half court, see whether that makes an impact or not. Obviously, we'll want to try and improve on that. If we take a look at sort of how the initial who we've got coming up. So our next game looks like it's going to be against the Denver Nuggets or the Denver Peaks in this, who have also lost their opening game. So hopefully we can finally get a win on the board. But over the next month or so, if we click into the schedule, we'll have a look there. So it looks like we've got Denver. Then we're back at the Clippers or the Anchors. So another tough game. Houston as well, another tough one. Hopefully we can get a result in Denver or Dallas or possibly New Orleans. But if not, then hopefully I eye that Detroit game up. Being a Detroit fan, I know that's a game that we could possibly win there, and I would like to win that one. And then it looks like we've got Chicago, Phoenix, Denver, Sacramento, Brooklyn. So there should be some opportunities for us, hopefully, to come out of that with a few wins. There's some tough games in there. The Anchors, Houston will be tough for us, and we'll sort of see how we get on against them. But I'll keep. For the next episode, I'll go through those games, and then before we kick off the next one, I'll just summarise where we are, see what sort of position we're in, see whether we can open up the trade lines early, see what the league's offering us. In terms of personnel, I'm going to see whether we can get this damn contract off our books. I feel that his position is sort of taken by sort of Randall and Nance Jr. and Ingram. Those 3 are sort of occupying the minutes that he would probably want. So we'll see if we can find him a new home, possibly. See whether we can get the likes of Tarek Black off of our books. Just a small $6 million or so. But if we can try and free up a little bit of space, we might be able to make us a little bit more flexible coming into sort of the end of this season, and maybe looking at taking on possibly some different types of players and different types of contracts, or maybe be aggressive in free agency next year. But I'll leave it there for today, guys. As always, if you have any comments or feedback, feel free to post them in the section below. And if you're interested in following us along and seeing how we get on with the LA Waves or LA Lakers, seeing if we can bring that championship back into Los Angeles. Just hit that subscribe button below, and until next time, thanks.